Hello friends, good to see you again. Welcome back. Happy to have you here with me today. Today's recipe is sort of a Mediterranean pasta recipe, and the cool thing about this one is that it cooks entirely in one pot. You don't need to boil the pasta separately, you don't need to make a sauce on the side. Everything's all done in one big pot and all cooked together, and it takes advantage of a few different techniques, including having all your ingredients prepped up ahead of time, and when you cook the pasta in the sauce or the sauce in the pasta like this, it's a great way to thicken it because the starch comes from the pasta and it thickens the sauce and it gives you all that extra flavor, and aside from the fact that it just makes things way easier. So let's get started on that. We're going to head on over to the stove. I've got all my ingredients here: tomatoes, onions, bell peppers, Italian seasoning, paprika, cumin, fresh garlic, a little bit of chunky chili sauce, ahi, some feta cheese to finish it with, dried pasta, spinach, cream, and our stock. So we're gonna go right over to the stove, take all my ingredients with me. We're making this up in a fairly big pan. Because you're cooking it all in the saucepan rather than having a frying pan and sauteing all your ingredients, we're going to do it right into the pan. So we'll start with our oil, good glug of oil, and we'll add our onions, get those started, and our peppers. You can use any color bell pepper that you like. I just happen to have yellow on hand, so that's what we're using. We're going to get this started. We're going to add the garlic. Calls for 3 cloves of garlic. You can put in 1, you can put in 5. Up to you. I happen to like a lot of garlic, so we've got a fair bit in here. I'm going to give this a minute or two to saute. You can hear it sizzling away. Also going to add the cumin at this point. You noticed how cumin's one of those ingredients that shows up in a lot of cultures' cooking. The mainstay in Mediterranean cooking, in Mexican, in Indian, Middle Eastern cooking. Very distinct flavor, but one that goes so well with so many different things. Okay. I'm going to let this cook for a couple of minutes. Sizzling away nicely. That's the beauty of this, as I said, all in one big pot. It's a great, easy way to make a meal, and of course makes your cleanup nice and easy too. So, give this a couple of minutes. Now what we're going to do, we're going to add our canned and stewed tomatoes. This one has garlic and olive oil added to it, which makes it's just an extra layer of flavor. If you don't have these and you just have straight up tomatoes, that works too. Pour those in. That's part of our liquid. Give that a little stir. We're going to add the rest of our ingredients now. We're going to put in a little bit of paprika. You can use chili powder if you like, if you want a little extra heat. Here goes our Italian seasoning. When you're using dried herbs like this, you always want to put them in at the beginning of the cooking time. If you were going to use fresh herbs, you add them at the end. A little bit of ahi chunky chili sauce going in there as well. Something that is something you can use or not use. Again, depending on the level of heat that you want. So there's that. Now I just need to grab the stock and the pasta and the lid. Forgot to put the lid on it. So here's our pasta. We've got elbow macaroni in this case, about 10 ounces. So that's going in. And then 3 cups of, now in this case I'm using chicken stock. You can use vegetable stock if you want to keep it vegetarian. You could actually keep it vegan by using vegetable stock and not putting any feta on it at the end. You can use a plant-based cheese if you like. We're going to use feta and chicken stock, so we're definitely not keeping it vegan or vegetarian for that matter. Having said that, if you wanted to throw in a bit of chicken, you certainly could. So now we're going to let this simmer, bring it up to a boil. That's the first thing you want to do, get it up to a boil and then lower your heat back down so it simmers. And put a lid on it so that it cooks away. Should only take about 8 minutes or so. At the moment it looks like a really good soup. Gotta make sure you put a little bit of salt in too. Cooking pasta without salt is just wrong in my opinion. So I'm going to put about half a teaspoon of salt in there. Whoops. Try not to bring the place down. You don't need to use as much salt for this recipe because you're cooking the pasta in all the other spices and seasonings, so that'll give you your flavor. If you are cooking pasta to add to a sauce, you want to make sure that you've cooked it in very heavily salted water. You want your water should taste like the ocean. A good rule of thumb to remember is the longer the food is in contact, the less salt you need. So for example, if you're cooking pasta, it's not in the pot for very long, so you need a goodly amount of salt to go in it. If you're simmering something like a stew or braising meat, a little bit of salt is what you want to put in there. So we're just going to give this a little taste though, just to make sure that we have enough salt in it. Give it a stir. Elbow macaroni tends to stick. Oh, that's good. Love the little bit of cumin in there. Really, really adds a nice flavor. Almost at the boil. Of course, if I would stop stirring it, it would get there a whole lot faster. But I don't want my pasta to stick. So, have to give it a little stir every now and then just to make sure that doesn't happen. I think we're good. We've stirred off the starch off of it, so now I'm just going to leave it. I don't know about you, but I like stirring things. It's hard to stop. No, don't stir it. Let it sit. Okay, we are simmering away. Almost at a boil. Getting close. You know, it's true that saying a watched pot never boils. I'm beginning to think that that is absolutely correct. We're just starting to simmer around the edges here. Okay. Looks good. Get a lid on that. Turn it down a little bit. And come back over here so we can get our spinach all chopped up. Put a damp cloth down underneath my cutting board so it doesn't go anywhere. Now, spinach. This has all been washed. This is baby spinach, so you can just use it just like this. You can literally throw this into the pot at the end. It'll all wilt down. I don't like big chunks of cooked spinach, so I'm gonna chop this up a little bit. I'm just gonna do a really rough chop on it. Oh my goodness, my puppies have woken up. And yeah. Luna's got her knickers in a twist because she knows Remy has something that Remy is not supposed to have. There we go. Okay, there's our spinach chopped up. I'm going to show you something, a technique for cutting up like things like fresh basil or leafy greens that you want chopped nice and small. It's called chiffonade. So we're going to take the stems off. You layer it, like these, pretend these are basil leaves. You layer it, you roll it up like this, and then you slice it, and you get beautiful ribbons of, in this case, spinach. But it's a really nice way to present basil, especially if you're using fresh basil on a pot. Very nice way to do that. So we're going to throw that in there too. And we're going to chop up a little extra spinach. Spinach is one of those really good for you greens. Very high in iron. Also very high in fiber. So it's a worthy vegetable to incorporate into your diet. Also super high in vitamin C. Bet you didn't know that. So, okay, let's check on our pasta here. It's simmering away beautifully. Okay. It's gonna take, as I said, about 8 minutes in total. So we're going to let that simmer away. And just hang out for a minute. What I'm going to do actually is take some of it out of the bowl, out of the pot, because you don't really want to watch water boil or soup boil in the case of this for 8 minutes. So I'm going to take some out, show you how to finish it off. We'll just pretend with the magic of television here. We'll take some out, put it in the pot like this. We'll pretend that's all cooked. You finish it, a little bit of cream, and get some chopped spinach in there. Stir that up so you can watch the spinach wilt. All the while, this one, we'll just keep going with that. So, give that a couple of minutes. Spinach will wilt really quickly. That cream on there is a really nice, nice addition to the sauce. Okay, almost ready to plate this. I need a bowl. You can see it simmering away. Okay, so we're going to pretend that this is all finished. We're going to put it in a beautiful bowl, like that. And we're going to sprinkle some feta cheese on the top to finish it off. And there you have your 1 pot spinach and tomato pasta. So let me know how that goes for you. And if you find it nice and easy to make and easy to clean up and all those wonderful good things. And take good care. See you soon.